Welcome to Farming Aid.
Hybrid cattle are changing the way many American ranchers think about performance, profit, and adaptability. Instead of relying on one traditional breed, breeders are combining the strengths of several to handle heat, cold, parasites, and feed costs while still delivering high-quality beef. In today's video we put 5 of the most talked about American hybrids to the test under real ranch conditions. We looked at growth, fertility, feed efficiency, temperament, and carcass quality, then compared the results head-to-head to find out which one truly stands out. Stay with me through the full breakdown, because by the end you will see not only which hybrid came out on top, but also why the winner matters for the future of American beef production. The starting point of this test was Beefalo, probably the most unique of the group because it blends domestic cattle with American bison genetics. This hybrid has always carried a certain mystique. It promises the hardiness of bison combined with the manageability and carcass traits of beef cattle. When we evaluated Beefalo, we paid attention to its ability to thrive on forage, its calmness in handling, growth from birth to finishing weight, and the quality of the meat itself. One thing stood out right away. Beefalo held body condition on grass where some traditional breeds would have started losing weight. They simply know how to use rough forage and keep performing. We also saw lower veterinary inputs in several herds, especially in regions with harsher winters or hotter summers. In meat quality tests, Beefalo produced lean carcasses with fine texture and very good tenderness when finished properly. Where it fell slightly behind some others was in uniformity. Because the genetic base is still diverse, some herds showed more variation in frame and muscling than the more established composites. Even so, Beefalo proved that the combination of bison resilience and beef cattle productivity is not just a clever idea but something that works in real operations. Then we turned to Brangus, which brings together Brahman and Angus genetics. This hybrid is deeply rooted in the American South and has spread widely in the United States and beyond. Brangus came into the test with the reputation for heat tolerance, tick resistance, and solid carcass qualities from its Angus side. What impressed us most while evaluating Brangus was its adaptability. These cattle kept grazing and gaining even during hot periods when purely British breeds slowed down. They showed strong maternal instincts, and the cows were dependable in calving and raising vigorous calves. The beef quality was consistent, with good marbling for a hybrid that contains tropical genetics. Feed efficiency in structured tests was also competitive, especially under forage-based systems. Temperament varied by line, but most animals we handled were steady and workable with good facilities. Brangus looked like a practical rancher's breed, the kind you could plug into a variety of environments and trust to do the job every year. Braford was next. This hybrid combines Brahman with Hereford, and it carries the instantly recognizable Hereford face with the tropical toughness of Brahman influence. Braford was built for hot, humid regions where parasites and heat stress reduce the productivity of straight European cattle. In our evaluation, the Braford showed real staying power in coastal and southern environments. Hoof soundness under wet conditions was strong, and hide quality gave protection against insects and sun. Calves grew steadily and cows proved durable, with many staying productive through more years than some straight British breeds. In carcass evaluation, Braford beef showed decent marbling and good ribeye development, though in some tests it did not match the highest marbling levels of Brangus. Feed conversion was respectable, especially on pasture, where they turned grass into gain efficiently. The big highlight remained durability. Ranchers told story after story of Braford cows that simply kept working year after year with minimal pampering. Santa Gertrudis entered the test with history behind it because it was the first beef breed developed in the United States. It is a composite built from Brahman and Shorthorn and was created on the King Ranch in Texas. Santa Gertrudis animals are powerful in appearance with a deep red coat and strong frame. In our evaluation, they delivered impressive growth. Calves reached weaning weight with size and muscle that were hard to ignore. The hybrid vigor built into Santa Gertrudis still shows clearly today. We tracked daily gains from weaning through finishing and saw performance that kept pace with most continental European breeds while holding on to the tropical toughness needed for southern climates. Carcasses were large with good yield. Marbling levels varied more widely than Angus-based hybrids, but tenderness and flavor scored well in sensory panels when managed and finished correctly. These cattle are not small and require good management, yet for producers chasing pounds of beef per acre, Santa Gertrudis made a very strong case. Finally, we tested Beefmaster, a composite developed in the United States from Hereford, Shorthorn, and Brahman. Beefmaster was designed around 6 basic traits, often summarized by breeders as weight gain, conformation, fertility, milk production, disposition, and hardiness. We looked at those same ideas in practice rather than on paper. The first thing that stood out was fertility. Beefmaster cows bred back reliably and raised calves with very little drama. Weaning weights were consistently strong across the operations we visited. The cattle could handle heat, uneven forage, and long grazing seasons, which traced clearly to their Brahman influence. At the same time, the British genetics gave them muscle shape and carcass quality that fit modern markets. Feed efficiency numbers were impressive, especially in systems where cattle spent long periods on grass before any finishing ration. Temperament, while always partly management dependent, was generally calm. What made Beefmaster different was balance. There was not just one standout trait. Instead, we saw a steady strength in many areas at once. Across all 5 hybrids, we considered the same core questions. Which cattle stay healthy with the least input? Which cattle raise heavy calves without constant intervention? Which genetics give you beef that graders and consumers appreciate? Which animals respond well to heat, parasites, and forage that is sometimes less than perfect? Every breed brought something of value, and it would be dishonest to pretend there was a universal answer for every region and every management style. Beefalo was the champion of low-input rugged grazing and produced lean, tender beef when finished well. Brangus offered an almost ideal mix of carcass quality and heat tolerance with broad adaptability. Braford stood out for durability and maternal strength in difficult climates. Santa Gertrudis showed remarkable growth and yield, especially for producers chasing scale. Beefmaster demonstrated fertility, efficiency, and the kind of general-purpose strength that attracts ranchers who want cattle that simply work without fuss. To find an overall winner, we had to value all these traits at once. The final decision focused on real-world ranch economics rather than show ring appearance. When everything was added up, Beefmaster rose to the top as the most complete and broadly useful American hybrid in this test. It did not win every single category, but it placed near the top in nearly all of them. Beefmaster cows were productive for many years, bred back reliably, weaned heavy calves, handled heat and variable forage, and produced beef that fit modern market expectations. In feed conversion studies, they held their own against more specialized breeds, and in low-input systems they often outperformed them. That wide balance is exactly what many ranches need in North America today, where weather is unpredictable and margins reward cattle that perform without constant pampering. Naming Beefmaster as the winner does not diminish the value of the other 4 hybrids. The real message from this comparison is that American hybrid cattle are not a trend. They are the result of long, focused efforts to blend genetics for climate, forage type, and market demands across a huge and varied country. Beefalo, Brangus, Braford, Santa Gertrudis, and Beefmaster each represent a different solution to the same problem, which is how to raise profitable cattle in real-world conditions, not textbook perfection. If your ranch sits in the northern plains with harsh winters and open rangeland, Beefalo might serve you better than anything else. If you work in hot humid country and still want top-tier carcass quality, Brangus may be your best answer. If you value rugged cows that stay sound in wet coastal pastures, Braford fits. If your goal is maximum pounds per animal, Santa Gertrudis will catch your eye. If you want a balanced package that checks almost every box with minimal weaknesses, Beefmaster is hard to beat, and that is why it claimed the top spot in our test. After putting all 5 American hybrid cattle through real-world testing, one thing is obvious. There is no single perfect animal for every ranch, but hybrid breeding is clearly shaping the next chapter of beef production in the United States. Each hybrid brought something valuable to the table. Some were champions of heat tolerance, others excelled in carcass quality, others impressed with fertility and low input performance. When we looked at the full picture and focused on consistent results across traits, one clear winner emerged. The top hybrid proved that balance matters more than hype. It delivered strong gains, dependable reproduction, solid beef quality, and the toughness to handle challenging environments, which is exactly what ranchers need right now. If you are building or improving your herd, this is the type of animal that deserves serious attention. Thanks for watching, and if you want more deep dives like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments.